Welcome back to the show. Joining me here in studio now is Walter Rowland, a veteran with the Canadian Navy, and Al Hemingway, the Zone Commander for the Lloydminster Legion. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Walter, you served in the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, correct?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that experience. I mean, what was that like when you were there?
It was unique for a prairie boy that had never seen that much water and such a different, how would you call it, culture that I've ever experienced. It was one of the best experiences I ever had. Yeah, you'd have to really see it to believe it. We're going across the ocean and we hit one of the worst storms the old-timers said they had ever seen. And those waves were about 90 feet high. And we were with a flagship, the Bonaventure they called her, the aircraft carrier. When it went down in between the waves, you couldn't see it. And when we went down between the waves, you couldn't see anything but water. But we went over to England and we did what they call a scheme with all the other NATO people in the area. There was about 8 different NATO nations, and we did this comprehensive scheme, and it was really exciting. So it was something I was always glad that I experienced, because it's totally unique for a prairie boy anyway.
And Al, just to sort of bring you into the conversation here too, you've been going into schools and stuff for years and doing presentations on Remembrance Day. What is it like to do that and to see the feedback from the school community? It's
very rewarding to see the youth in our community preserving the memory of these veterans who so gallantly served our country. Many, over 117,000 of our veterans lost their lives in service to our country since the beginning of the First World War. And it's our, not only right, but it's our obligation to preserve their memory and to continue the fight for the ideals and goals they so hardly fought for, and many paid with their lives. Canada, back before the First World War, was an emerging nation of immigrants from some of these countries that were heavily involved in the conflict. And they came from states of oppression and came to Canada to gain the freedoms and the benefits that we enjoy today. And we have to remember their fight to gain that and how we enjoy that today.
One of the big things the Legion does is the Poppy campaign. Talk a little bit about why the poppy is so important to Remembrance Day.
The poppy grew in Flanders fields in France, and many of the soldiers that fought and died over in France were buried right where they died. And the poppies grew between the graves over in France. And Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae wrote a poem that's now become famous and synonymous with remembrance activities in Flanders fields. And the poppy became the official symbol of remembrance in Canada. After serving in the 1962 missile crisis in Cuba, what does the poppy mean to you?
It made me very thankful. All my life I've been very thankful for the freedom I've enjoyed. I think that's the most precious thing that I really have enjoyed. And it dawned on me that this freedom was made possible by a lot of unbelievable effort by a lot of people, and the situations that they were placed into and the way they dealt with it. History demonstrates time and time and again the heroic things that the Canadian military did over there.
Your article here in the Wainwright Star 2001, which you brought with us here today, you said that after September 11th, November 11th should ring truer to citizens. Why do you think that is?
People should be made more aware, and I think they were, of how important our military has been throughout all of history. And a lot of the things that came out of that was that our veterans should have been treated better, should have been looked after better, and should be more appreciated. And I think that happened because it seems to me that our November 11th programs are getting better all the time. And the young people, I think, are impressed with it, and I believe that's a very good thing.
Excellent. And just on the note of Remember 11 services, what's going on tomorrow in Lloydminster?
Tomorrow morning, we're going to be doing our annual Remembrance Day service in the Geisbrecht Auditorium at the Lloyd Comp. We'd like everybody to be in their seats prior to 10:30 a.m. when our service starts, and we'll be holding our service. Lasts approximately an hour, and then following that, everyone is welcome to join us at the Royal Canadian Legion branch number 39 here in Lloydminster.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here today, gentlemen, and just on behalf of around the region and Newcap Television, thank you for your service to our country and your dedication, Walter. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This has been our conversation with Walter and Al Hemingway from the Lloydminster Legion. Coming up.
It wasn't a household word in Lloydminster. People didn't know what it was.
A look back on the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation is next on Around the Region.